Today I'm flying with Emirates on an A380 in business class. This is 121 configuration. Every seat's going to have aisle access and there's a bar at the back of the plane, but my ticket cost me £345. So how did I do that? Well, there's no tricks, there's no points involved. You can do this and there's availability all over the calendar. But for now, I've just come in from Macau, so I'm all checked in. I'm looking for the lounge. Hi, I'm Phil. I'm on a grey gap year. Okay, so the lounge is on level 7 by gate 40, and I'm currently by gates 1 to 39. So the first thing I need to do is get on the people mover, get me to the right part of the airport. You can walk to the far end of the airport where gate 40 in the Emirates Lounge in Hong Kong is, and it's about a 15-minute walk, or it's just a couple of minutes if you use the little train. I'm flying out of Hong Kong today, and that £345 one-way price is currently £311, and even less per flight if you book a round trip. I'll go into details at the end of the video, so keep watching for that. So I've actually got a couple of options here. I could go to the Centurion Lounge, I could go to the Plaza Lounge, or I could go to the Emirates Lounge. Now, I'm not going to be flying business class with Emirates very often, but the other two I'll probably have a chance to do again in Hong Kong. So today, Emirates all the way. After being warmly welcomed and a quick boarding pass check, I was directed into the Emirates Lounge here in Hong Kong. The lounge is on an open mezzanine floor, so the hubbub of the main terminal does leak into the lounge, but the high ceilings make this noise more a sort of a white noise or gentle background noise. The lounge follows the style and the colours of Emirates lounges, and it's large. It's certainly large enough to give today's passengers plenty of elbow room. As you enter the lounge, you've got a spacious lounging area on the right, and then you've got the food and the dining tables to your left. And the food offering in this lounge is excellent, with a fresh and well-maintained buffet, lots of options. You could put yourself together either a 3-course or even a 5-course meal if you wanted. Lamb cutlets. Prepare to get stuck into them, I think. With some vegetables and potatoes. Oh no, roast and potatoes. Well, that's an easy decision, isn't it? And a little self-pour bar. The Glenfiddich 12. A little cheese course for afterwards. Oh, Stilton. Did they have a port? I think I might be finding out later. Oh, my goodness. These amazing desserts. This is their lounge, right away from their hub. And I started with a glass of champagne and some nuts. And I had that wonderfully presented seared tuna starter. And then I put together a couple of lamb chops with rosemary potatoes. It's like the chef knew that I was coming. Not bad presentation, eh? You're impressed by that, I can tell. Some lovely Mediterranean veg there to go with it. This looks absolutely amazing. Beautiful red wine. I'm gonna absolutely get stuck into that. I should have left it there, but that Stilton was too good to turn down, paired with a late bottled vintage port, and I have a certain love of Stilton, as I will now demonstrate. Actually, let me just pull the camera down. That is so creamy when it goes in your mouth. It just coats your mouth with this amazing flavour. I'm gonna have to show you again. Look at the amount of. I know I'm getting excited, but I love a good still. Just look at the blue veins in that. Look how blue it is. Try and actually, this is a water biscuit as well. This is it's like gonna spread. Look at that. It's just spread. A little bit of crumble, but not really any crumble at all. Okay, that's enough of that. A little glass of Glenfiddich 12. And what better, a little bottle of water just to release that with. As my father-in-law used to tell me, you just want to release it, don't drown it. That's probably enough. Cheers. With it being a short flight, I left in good time to make it to the gate for boarding, but I ended up being a bit late. Okay, well I came straight to the gate. I thought I was going to be a little bit early enough to sit around, but they'd already started boarding. Then there was a kerfuffle at the gate. Oh no, valuable time lost. So it's an A380. So we've got, oh look at that, got our own little way in. Let's hope this works well. Let's get in. Let's maximise my 3 hours on the plane. Hello, how are you doing?
On board, Mr. Brassington.
That's me, yeah. Yes. Good pronunciation, well done.
Thank you.
Cheers.
First.
Thank you. And here we are. So I'm 25A and I've picked that so that I'm towards the back. So you've got these sort of middle seats that are actually very private. Oh, I'm going to step in here and let this gentleman pass. Good evening, how are you? I'm very well, thank you, and you?
Come on board.
Thank you. And then you've got these great little couple seats in the middle here. And on the sides, you've got aisle, window, aisle, window. It's quite a big cabin, isn't it? Let's just stop here and have a look at that. This is the setup. Like an amenity, headphones, some blankets and a pillow. How you doing? You okay? Shall I step in here so you can come past? There you go. Gonna go for the champagne. Thank you very much. Cheers. I don't think you can ask for a warmer welcome or better boarding experience than that. I'd actually picked the second business class cabin behind the first large cabin. At 25. So 25A, I think that's me. I'm just going to have a quick check. I was in the right place, but I quickly found the first issue with the seat. The gap into the window seat is very narrow. That's a tight squeeze. You've got to, I don't know, lift your nuts to get in. I'm not sure whether I would actually prefer the aisle version of this. But once you're in the seat, the design makes it feel spacious in its pitch, the distance between me and the seat in front or the TV screen in front. But I did feel a bit narrow. And the footrest is the perfect distance for me, but it might not be so great if you're taller than my 5 foot 4 inches. Around the seat there is a light over your shoulder, and there's also a light for the shelves in the minibar, and I did like that. It was very neat. But there's a better reading light in the overhead panel, and you operate that from the remote control, and up there in the panel you've got personal air vents too. And just going back to the minibar for a moment, I like it. It's a nice idea, and the drinks are perfect for putting in your bag and taking to the hotel, but a bit pointless for the flight unless you really do enjoy a warm sparkling Perrier water. We've got headphones, we'll give them a try in a bit. Slippers and a mask. And there were no business amenity kits given out on this flight. I did ask, but they didn't have any for this short leg. So there's a shelf by my side to put drinks on, and then there's a little shelf above the minibar, which I liked, a tiny pocket for the safety leaflet and literature in front, as well as another very small sort of little pocket by my side, which was perfect for the headphones. But this window seat has an additional bin next to the fuselage, and it's massive. It's big enough to put my laptop bag in. I mean, it's just huge. By the TV screen there's a universal plug and a USB charging point, but it's a slow charging USB point, 4 hours to top up the last 50% of my phone. I mean, that's very slow. There's a decent sized tray table, although I had to breathe in to open it when I was seated. Now, I know I'm a larger gentleman, but I'm not a record breaker by any means. And this seat has some serious design flaws for larger people. And isn't paying the extra for business class supposed to resolve some of these space issues that you have in economy? The seat lies flat, but the armrests don't move like they do with other lie-flat seats, and the narrow seat becomes a narrow bed. It's a comfortable seat, and it's comfortable enough in bed mode too, even without the mattress topper. But I think I'd probably just recline this seat rather than trying to lie flat. And it's this spacious foot cubby that makes the seat in front quite so narrow. But it's a good cubby, and I even found more storage with a little bin for your shoes, which I thought was ingenious. Loading an A380 takes quite a bit of time, and while all the passengers were boarding, I had time for a champagne top-up. I say, old bean, I could get used to this. And of course I was offered the obligatory wet flannel. As Amy Santiago would say, "No, I don't want your boiled rags." Love that show. And then it got a bit feisty in the cabin when one of the children aboard tried to convince the cabin crew that they were 18, and their parents decided to weigh in as well. Now, I didn't capture the conversation on the camera, which is a shame because it did tickle me, but I didn't realise I was quite this nosy until I saw it in the footage. So a passenger's getting upset because the cabin crew just informed them that their child, under 18, I don't know what age, is allowed to drink alcohol. Apparently he told the cabin crew he's 18. I mean, you got your freaking passport with you, kiddo. We might be able to work out how old you are. Not the smartest cookie in the barrel, eh? Very good. The IFE screen's a bit dated, it has to be said. This doesn't usually bother me too much, but the touchscreen didn't work particularly well, and I found the remote on a wire to be very fiddly, and I got really frustrated with it all. But I did manage to find some full season box sets and some latest release movies, as well as what appeared to be all the Marvel movies. So if you wanted to binge them, you could binge the whole lot on a long flight. So an old screen, but a good entertainment selection. The headphones were noise cancelling headphones, and I didn't get my Bose headphones out, so I could only assume that they were a good offering. While I was browsing TV shows, I ordered a champagne cocktail and a bowl of warm nuts. Champagne cocktail, anyone? I'd never tried a champagne cocktail, and this is something that I love about taking these flights. I get to try wonderful new things like this. The tray table was laid up for some time before the meal was actually delivered, essentially imprisoning me in my seat. I happily watched the Napoleon movie, but it was frustrating to hear all the fun coming from the bar behind me while I waited for my meal. And I actually finished my wine before the meal was served. And the wine was another bit of an oddity, because I thought I'd ordered the Loire White Puy Fumé, but I was served the Burgundy White Puy Fusé, and I only realised this when I looked at the footage to make the video. I'd ordered the prawn macbousse as my main and the chocolate caramel tart for dessert. As you can imagine, I wasn't particularly hungry, but I did want to see what the meal service was going to be like. And it was all served on one tray, which I'm assuming was because it's a short flight, it's just 3 hours long. I tried all 3 courses with mixed results. The chicken Waldorf was a typical airline salad, and it wasn't put together very well. All the ingredients in a Waldorf should be bound with the mayonnaise, so you can sort of pop your fork in it and get some out. Otherwise, you're left trying to eat dry walnuts with a salad fork. I mean, just try sticking a fork in a walnut sometime. The macbousse complete with novelty moustache, which I think was supposed to be a chopped coriander garnish, but it looks rather more like basil. I think the portion size was too big for the dish, and the first forkful had to be a dig into the fragrant rice in the middle to reveal the marinated prawns. Now, this is a main course that I would highly recommend if you're flying Emirates. It's a traditional dish from the region, and it is excellent. The chocolate caramel tart was presented wonderfully. It's got a light pastry casing, but this does make it a little tricky to eat without a separate dessert fork. My spoon went through it, and I think it was likely to ping off somewhere. The Bog Standard. The large business cabin seemed to be almost full, but the toilet was clean and fresh when I walked in. Now, I love the fresh flowers in the toilets and the little bottles of perfume and aftershave. I think it's great. Having a window is always an interesting feature in an airline toilet, and there was a seat that went over the toilet so you could sit, relax, check yourself in the mirror and reapply your makeup if you needed. So this toilet is above the bog standard, but the amount of gold in such a tiny space is an assault on the senses. It's way over the top. Emirates, you really need to tone this down. And so to what I hoped would be the highlight of this trip, the bar. But they started packing up the bar shortly after my dinner tray was cleared, and I didn't really get full use of the area, so I'm reluctant to either give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. There's fruit, snacks, cakes, chocolates for you to enjoy, all of which except a lonely banana and a couple of chocolates were gone by the time I made it into the bar. There's a staff bar with premium spirits and seating areas for you to relax in, and although they were packing away, I did insist on a whiskey so that I could enjoy the bar experience, however limited. I do like the idea of a communal space at the back of the plane. When I fly long haul economy, I usually have a half-hour break at the back of the plane in the rear galley area, and the crew there almost always have snacks and drinks at the ready. So how did I book this? Well, booking this flight is very easy. You can just book it from Google Flights. I flew from Hong Kong to Bangkok one way for £345, and right now this is available for £311. And I believe that the reverse trip is even cheaper one way. But if you're going to make a return flight, then you can book a round trip, and each leg will be cheaper still. I made the return trip in first class, and I'll leave a link to that video in the description. But spoiler alert, you're going to get to see me in the shower. Emirates have increased their one-way fares from Bangkok to Hong Kong, possibly in response to that video that I made. But if you want to go business one way and first class on the return, then Emirates allow you to book different classes of travel on round-trip tickets. And when you book that ticket, the cost of each leg returns to about £350 for the business class flight and about £450 for the first class leg, which is about the same as I paid. If you've got any questions, please do ask them in the comments, and do let me know if you've tried Emirates Business in their 1-2-1 configuration. I'm reluctant to give a final verdict on this until I've tried the full flight, but do tell me what you've thought. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Do give me a like if you did. Thank you for watching, and thank you for joining me on my Grey Gap Year.